Hey, welcome back to Grid Gym. It's Friday. It is, what is it? Friday the 16th, March 16th. Today we're going to go over how to make an effective day. There's three big pieces that I want to hit here, and I think these are going to resonate with a lot of people and really make sense once I get into them. But the reason why we're doing this, hey Chris, the reason why we're doing this is because a lot of people, I think they stress out over stress. I think they get into this habit of I can't get enough done, I can't get enough done, I can't get enough done. If you say that to yourself enough times, you end up not getting enough done because you told yourself that you couldn't get enough done. And I've done that. I know a lot of people that have done that. And we're going to go through a few very simple things that you can do, just very fundamental things everybody can do. Everybody can put them into place at any time, and it can lead to a lot of things with the health. Remember, health is just as much exercise as it is nutrition. It is just as much mindset as it is recovery. So you have to have all four of those pillars in place to have a full, healthy, vibrant, the kind of life that you want to experience. We all are trying to do this thing where we're trying to live this incredible experience. Well, having an effective day, your days are going to add up to the life that you do have. And one of the things that I don't know, like at the end of your life, I don't know if anybody's going to sit back and be like, well, I think that they had enough time. I think all of us are probably going to want a little bit more time. So if we can squeeze more quality into the time that we do have, I think some good things can come about because of that. So how do you make an effective day, and why? Well, why is because of all that stuff that I just said. But really, like when you're looking into this stuff, I used to go to these, or I used to. I still go to all these conferences. I go to tons and tons of conferences, and there was always at exercise conferences. There's always some guy that gets up and talks about sales for a half an hour. And one of the guys, and I hear this multiple times, but one of the guys goes, if I was stuck on a deserted island, the first skill that I would choose is sales. And I was like, bullshit. That is such garbage. Why would you choose sales if you're on a deserted island? Why would you choose like the skill of making fire or the skill of going and getting food? And then, later on, like years later, I don't know why it popped back in my head, but it popped back in my head that it was like, no, like he needed this skill of sales to sell himself on surviving. That's what he needed. He needed to be able to talk himself into doing the things that needed to be done in order to survive. And so that's kind of what I'm asking you to do here is kind of look at it that way. Like look at this as you're in life, like doing the things that you need to do in order to survive. You have to sell yourself on this, because I don't really think that this show is about trying to inspire you. It's more about you trying to inspire yourself to live the experience that you want to have while you're here. So what are some ways that we can do? Well, you can set the alarms, you can have the schedule, you can set the goals, you can set the targets, you can do the timers, you can make sure there's no white space. But really, until you get down to a commitment to doing this stuff on a daily basis, it will never end up actually accumulating to anything. This stuff, I mean, even now, like I got a compliment yesterday that somebody said that I get a lot done in a day, and I'm like, I don't think I get even close to the amount of stuff that I want done in a day. I don't think that I'm even I don't think I'm even like 10% of the way there to like full efficiency that I could, or capacity that I could possibly be. But the commitment to making these things happen, I think over time is how they build up. So how do you make an effective day? First thing I think that you should start with is actually the end of your day and work backwards. I think you should start at the end of your day. I think you should look at your PM. I think it's much easier to wake up at the same time every single day as it is to go to sleep at the same time every single day. And if you think of exercise as training your body, and you think of doing mindset stuff as training your mind, when you think of all of this as affecting the behaviors of your day-to-day, well, what about the behaviors that you're teaching yourself by when you go to sleep? Is it time to turn up or is it time to turn down? Do you do the same thing? Like certain things, I find that if I do my kind of creative type writing where like I write a blog or I do stuff like this, if I do this every day at the same time, eventually my mind kind of does this thing where it's like, okay, now it's time to click on. At first it didn't do that. Now it does that because I've trained it to do that. I've grooved that pattern. So the first thing I'd say is set an alarm, and we'll get into the other alarms here, but the first alarm that you should set on your calendar to repeat every day is an alarm at night. And actually I'm using my phone right now, otherwise I'd show you. But at 10 p.m. there's an alarm that goes off on my phone. It just is a really easy ding. It makes me go, okay, it's time to go to bed. At 10:30, there's another alarm that goes off. It's like ding, and when I hear that one go off, I'm like, man, I gotta get to bed. So it's just 1 and 2. It doesn't go off twice. There's no snooze button, nothing else. It's just in my calendar, and it says and alerts me, go to bed, so that it pushes me to, I need to get ready for bed, I need to go. So that you're going to bed at the same time every night. There's maybe some nights, like maybe on a Saturday night, like you stay up later than you should, but if you go to bed earlier, and this is like proven by science. Science is like proving this over and over again. Is that like going to bed earlier seems to have a more drastic effect than a total accumulative hours of sleep. So that's why we say 2 hours before midnight is worth or every hour before midnight is worth double. Is worth double after midnight. Because if you go to bed at 10 and you wake up at 6, that's better than going to bed at 1 and waking up at 9. It's better to go to bed at 10 and wake up at 6 than it is to go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and wake up at 9, even though they're the same total amount of hours. All right, and then there's some other things too that we need to consider in the bedroom. For one, what is the bedroom for? Okay, in my world, the bedroom's for 2 things. Okay, only 2 things. There are no screens in the bedroom. There's nothing else. There's no screens in the bedroom. The bedroom is for sleep and sex, and that's it. There is nothing else that goes on inside that room. There's no conversations. Well, kind of. I mean, it depends on how you look at conversations. There's nothing else that goes on inside that room. I don't have a TV in the bedroom. Why? Because I want to have a relationship, for one. And we know that couples that have a TV in their bedroom statistically have 30% less sex. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to compete with the TV. I don't want the distraction. I don't want it there. I don't want I don't want that imagery. I don't want the light. I don't want the commercials going on in my head before I go to bed. So make that commitment right now. The bedroom is for 2 things, and only 2 things, and both those things are pretty great. All right, and then AM. What do we do in the AM? For one, I think that a lot of people, besides that first one, because I think that is probably the most pivotal, is to go to bed at the same time every single night. You will, your workouts will go better. Your mind will be sharper. You're less likely to be depressed, feel anxiety. That's one of the first questions when they go through that. I forget what it is. It's like 12 questions on the psychological scales to decide if you're depressed. And I really think that a lot of people are probably just bored, not depressed. But anyway, the first one is, do you have a job? And the reason they ask that question is because it says a few different things. It says that you had to wake up at a certain time every day. It says that you had to go to bed. You had a reason to go to bed at night. That's why they're asking those questions. So the second one is hitting the snooze button. Hitting the snooze button is a weakness. It is a loss. It is in the morning. I want to have as many wins as possible. I want to stack wins on top of each other. I want to get some momentum going to have an effective day, right? And you do too. We all want this kind of momentum going into our day. Well, if I wake up and I hit that snooze button, I lost. I consider that a loss, and I hate losing. And I love winning. I love winning so much. Winning is just like the greatest feeling. I love winning. It is fantastic. But maybe I shouldn't say I love winning, but it is just a great, great, great feeling to win. But if you hit that snooze button, you lose. I do not want to lose, and I do not want you to lose. If you lose, I lose. And if I lose, you lose. Okay? This is a win-win, cooperative a relationship. And if you lose, I lose. And if I win, you win. So never ever hit the snooze button. Do you ever notice that when you do hit the snooze button, you're more tired throughout the day? So you gave up that entire day for 15 minutes of extra crappy sleep. You might as well have just set your alarm clock 15 minutes later and gotten up. So get up with the snooze button. Do not hit the snooze button. It's a loss. And one of the strategies I use for that, because I actually walk and talk in my sleep, so I would just turn it off in my sleep if it was right beside the bed. I put the alarm in an area that is outside of my bedroom so that it forces me to remove myself from that place where only 2 things happen. I'm removing myself from the room. It's like a mental thing for me anyway. It might work for you, it might not. But I think that everybody's going to be better if they get their feet on the ground and they get out and they get their blood running. They're less likely to go to bed. I'm not talking about across your room. I'm talking about get out of your room. Get out of the place that you sleep. Get out of the place where you're the only 2 things are allowed. Right? You get out of there so that you have to turn off the alarm, and then it's like, well, now I'm up. Let's do this. And you might still feel like going back to bed for a while. It probably took me 2 years of doing that before I was like, yeah, nah, I'm up, let's go. Now it's just, let's go. All right, and then once you're done with that, so those are the 2 things there. So get outside your bedroom. Set the alarm clock out there where you have to walk to turn it off, so that you not across your room. Get at least 12 steps away and outside the door of the place that you do sleep. and then go to bed at the same time every single night. Decide that your bedroom is only for 2 things, and that's the only 2 things that you get to do in it. Now, what happens to the person that can't sleep? They're having tons of sleep issues. And like, I just can't get to sleep at night, or I toss and I turn all night, or once I do get to sleep, I wake back up, or I'm a very light sleeper. Well, for one, I think we kind of need to assess the situation a little bit. And there's a few things there. One of the first things that I'll look to is, am I meditating every single day? Am I taking 15 minutes to close my eyes, breathe in through my nose, and down into, pushing all my air down into my hips, and then back out my nose again? Am I doing that every day? Because if I'm doing that every day, my mind is clear. It's more clear anyway, and I can go to that place where I can let myself go to sleep. Okay, so if there's no meditation there, you're going to be a light sleeper and you're going to have a hard time. You're going to wake yourself up. Now, the other thing is, another tool that works is reading fiction. Reading fiction apparently turns on the areas of our brain that we use while we're dreaming. And if you think about it, when you're dreaming, you're creating these images, you're creating the illustrations of the story that is going on in your dream, right? Well, when you're reading a book, you're creating the illustration of what is going on in that fiction book. If you're just doing nonfiction, though, it turns on different areas of the brain that are more alert. Even though nonfiction is a little bit more boring typically, reading fiction can let your mind relax. You can let it go, and then you can sleep better. One of the other things is, you have to keep a journal beside your bed. You probably have had I don't know how many genius ideas at 1 o'clock in the morning, and you were too tired to write them down, and so they were lost on the world forever, and you robbed the world of that great idea. Keep a journal beside your bed so you can write that thing down. That way you outsource your memory and you let it go. It's not like you're sitting there trying to hold on to that memory while you sleep, because you can't do 2 things at once. It's pretty tough. Or maybe you could, but I don't want to say you can't do something, but at the same time, that's going to be tough. So a journal beside the bed, read fiction, and make sure that you're meditating every single day, even if it's only for 60 seconds. Just taking that deep breath, that time to decompress, and it takes time for the brain to change. In a 12-week period of time, it doesn't take much time. In a 12-week period of time, we know that the brain actually changes. Physical structures in the brain change. The area that fight or flight comes from shrinks. The area of logic expands from meditation. All right, the other thing in the morning, this is one of the things that I do. We have the One Life planners at a Grid Gym, but I wake up every morning after I've the night before, had the alarm go off, push myself into bed. Then I wake up in the morning to the alarm outside the room, and then we go on and on and on, and then so I date it, and then I get into my journal. Right, I probably have a cup of coffee first, but I get in the journal. There's a quote. I set my intentions. Am I going to be all in today, or am I going to be afraid that I'm not enough today? And you make that, and it's important to ask both questions, because the default is that you're going to be afraid that you're not enough. And if you set the intention up front that you're going to be all in that day, well, you're probably more likely to be all in that day. You might not. You might have some errors along the way, but you're probably more likely to be all in that day. And then the other ones are right over here. You work hard to improve, focus on the present priority, and you be a positive influence to those around you. I set the intention that I'm going to do that day, and then I write down my goals every morning. And some people are like, I don't have time to do that. Like that. This takes me a full-on 5 minutes, and it takes me 15 minutes to meditate. 20 minutes, 5 minutes, so that's 25 minutes out of the entire day that sets the day to be effective. If I can be more effective in that day, if I can produce more, if I can be more effective, then I can put more life into that. So I really don't see how you cannot do this, how you cannot take the time to do this. Because if you're not being effective in your day, then you're wasting it, okay? So I write down my goals, I write down my targets for the day. Big, long-term, nasty, huge goals that are like, how am I ever going to, I don't know how I could ever accomplish that. That's what I write down there. And then I write down my targets for the day. That's not a to-do list, they're targets. They're things that I would do outside of my to-do list. The to-do list is down here and in this. So I try to not leave any white space. Sometimes I do. But by the end of the day, it's covered up. So I write in what I'm going to do that day, and then that's Plan B. That's at least Plan A that I do. I do a to-do list, people that I got to call, some notes I got to do, and then did I do my meditation? Did I do my workout? Did I do my hour of study? It's extremely important. If you're not getting in that 1 hour of study every day, I don't know what you're doing. There is so much information out there. There's so much really cool things to be curious about. There's so many things to learn that you can do lifetime upon lifetime upon lifetime of doing an hour hours and hours and hours every day and never be able to experience every cool thing that there is. So if you take that 1 hour a day, you are setting yourself so far apart than anybody else on earth, and it is amazing how much you learn in just a year. I look back at a year from even now, and I'm like, oh my God, like what I thought I knew then. And I go back a year from then, what I thought I knew then, what I thought I knew then. And I think I would have done that anyway, but not to this level, not to the level that I do that I do now. And the more I learn, the more I figure out that I can learn. All right, something else. A little bit better. Something else is at the end of the day, I write down what did I succeed at that day. I write down what could I have improved upon that day. This isn't time for playing the pity party. This is like, what did I learn today? What did I learn? I probably made an error that day. I need to write it down in a positive way that I learned from it. And then I rewrite those goals again. The goals from up here, I rewrite them down here because I want them in my brain when I go to sleep so that I can subconsciously I can challenge my subconscious while I sleep, so I can start believing that I can actually achieve them. So that's one of the things. That's the goals, the targets. Now, when you get into that white space and you set time for yourself, this is one of the things. This is actually a new thing, little deal that Rach got me. And all it does is it just sets a timer. So like that is the 5-minute timer. There, it turned it off. So if I was to set it for 60 minutes. So this is something I used to just have all kinds of timers laying around. I have like little ones like this. I tell Siri, set the timer for 15 minutes. And then, but the point of that is that I'm going to look at a topic and I'm going to say, okay, this topic's going to take me at 1 hour. All right, so I would set Siri for 30 minutes. And for that 30 minutes, I would just go nuts on that one thing. And nothing else would get in the way. It's only that one thing that we're working on. And that way you can just go tunnel focus all in on that one thing. And when that timer goes off, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm halfway done already. I only have 1/4 of this done. So the next time through, it's like did you guys ever run the mile in track? Well, it sucks. It's really not fun. But your first lap, you're like, okay. That was hard. And your second lap was like, okay, that was a little easier. And then you realize you're halfway done. And then you get done that third lap. And all of a sudden, about 300 yards from the end, you can start picking up your pace. Okay, why can you do that? You should be at your most tired 300 yards from the finish line, not your least. You shouldn't be able to pick up your pace. You should have already pushed yourself past the point that you could not pick up your pace towards that end, right? But you can. So just like that's the second portion of the timer. It's the kick, it's the go, it's the push. So I just set little timers like this around. What time is it, speaking of? All right, so we got a few more minutes left. But I just set little timers. This is like a cute, this cube thing. I almost called it cute. This cute little cube thing. But this thing is sweet. I actually really like this a lot. It was really inexpensive. Rach got it for me, and we use it all the time now. But if the other thing is, okay, so no white space. Use timers. Targets and goals are a must. You have to put those in. That 1 hour of study is extremely powerful. When you can't sleep, you have to assess the situation. Am I meditating? Do I have a book ready that's fictional that I can read? Do I have a journal beside my bed? Now, this is one of the things that, and I actually got this from Amber. She does all the nutrition stuff out of Grit Gym. She's fantastic, and she gets a ton done. And one time and I know that she has to say things to me like 7 times before they finally get through this thick dome. But she goes, if it takes me less than 5 minutes, I just go ahead and do it right then. I'm like, that's genius. That is genius. If it's gonna take you less than 5 minutes, do it right now. Like if you think I have to call that person, I bet you it's gonna take you less than 5 minutes to get on a phone call and call that person. I have to do the dishes. I bet you the dishes take you less than 5 minutes. Okay, I have to do XYZ, whatever it is. Go ahead and do that one thing. It's 5 minutes. Hit it. Knock it out. Murder that thing. If it's less than 5 minutes, just take the time to do it right then and then move on to the bigger topics. Okay, so those are some of the ways to have an effective day that I use on a daily basis. And I think like as you do them, you get better at them. You just keep on getting better at them. I used to think like, when am I going to have time to do the meditation, the hour of reading, the this, the that, the all those things that I do. So I wake up and so I hit those goals, and then I read, and then I study, or then I write, and then I read and study, and then I go work out, then I have breakfast, and then I get on with the rest of my day. And like that's already 4 hours in, right? But like if I didn't take that 4 hours, I guarantee you I wouldn't be where I am, and mentally, and B, I wouldn't be able to get all the things done. So that me taking that 4 hours to do that thing makes me so much better at all of this other stuff, that 4 hours was more than worth it. And it helped, and just like I said, like, this is a cooperative relationship. If I win, you win. Well, if you win, I win. Okay, same thing. If I don't win in the morning in those 4 hours, you don't win either. So my conviction to you, and my conviction in my own life, is that I have to win in that time frame. So sell yourself first on this, though. This has to be something that you are fully committed to. It cannot be like a halfway thing. And remember, commitment means that there's no other option. When you commit, like, just like in a relationship, you commit to one person. Well, that doesn't mean that you get to try out, you get to do other tastings. You're with one person. There is no other option. That's just the end of it. If you set your commitment to this, you'll do whatever it takes to get it done. I highly encourage, like, grabbing one of these. They're fairly inexpensive at a grid gym. I think we do like $10 per one of these, and we send you 5 at a time. So I think it's like $40, so a little less than $10 per one. And one of these will last you, I think it's 12 weeks, so about 3 months. But anyway. It's the One Life planner at Grit Gym. You can get them on the site, but they're extremely powerful for making an effective day. And I hope this helps a little bit. If this helped you, please slap the share button, send it out to everybody you know. If it didn't help you, bummer. And you should still slap the share button and send it out to everybody you know, and tell them why you hated it. Anyway, thanks for being here, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll be back. We're not going to be back on Monday, unfortunately, because we are at a conference. So we're going to be in the air. We're going to be a few miles up in the sky on Monday at this time. But thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Please take the time, slap the share button, and send it out to everybody you know. This is one of the most watched videos, guys. It's really cool.